thank you guys. Again, we have a lot of customers for this higher education roundtable, and these are some of the logos that folks will be participating from different locations. So we have obviously University of Victoria here, Open University. They'll be joining tomorrow. Stanford as well, McMaster, Dawson, Columbia College, TRU. The other key thing is that as some of the folks are using live chat, I think it'll also be a good sort of avenue for you to learn from other customers who are using bot or Omni or other pieces as well. So again, thank you so much for joining today. In terms of the agenda, we're going to keep it really high level. I want it to be more interactive, make it this roundtable about you guys. So just to start with, a little bit about Com100, and then we get to learn about you. Basically, let us know about where you're joining from, about your institution, about your university or college, the role that you play, and obviously about your department, how big is the staff, how many students that you guys have on campus. Afterwards, I have questions that I want to run by each and every one of you, and love to get your input on those. And then basically we're going to close the roundtable because we are going to be up against the clock. We are about, I think, already 6 or 7 minutes into this. To begin with, about Com100, again, we are the omni-channel customer service platform for mid-size and enterprise companies, offering live chat, secure messaging now with AI-powered bots, and automation within one integrated console. For higher education, we have built something that's really unique, and Liz and Paul, you would know this, and I will talk John, Tori, to everyone afterwards, Frank, about our super agent platform that basically helps us decouple each department's site, so you have more autonomy and you have more control over those. After this roundtable, I'm going to follow up by tomorrow with an email. With that email is going to be a package. The package is going to have a recording of this roundtable. It's going to have our product roadmap as well for 2022. It's going to have our benchmark report for higher education and some of the other valuable assets as well, just as a thank you. But I think all those pieces you guys are going to find really, really valuable. And now I'm going to pass it over to you guys. So we'll go, I guess, one by one in the room, and then just again introduce your university, and then what are your goals, and what does the success looks like perhaps for this roundtable, and if there's anything else as well that the other stakeholders will love to learn about you as well. So to begin with, John, let's start with you. You're at the top here for me and on the screen, and then afterwards you can just pass it back to me.
Okay, so I'm Jonathan Perlman. I work at Dawson College in Montreal, Quebec. We are an English language institution. Language is a key battle in Quebec with all the politics, and unfortunately we're at the center of all that politics. But anyways, I digress. So yeah, we've got about 10,000 students, about 1,000 faculty and staff. We use Com100 specifically for our academic advisors who support the students. We use it for our registration support to students again. So it's essentially academic advising registrar that uses the system. And basically our student body is probably a lot younger than most, because in Quebec, the college network is straight. The students come straight out of high school into CEGEP, into college, and then go on to university. So we've got the 16 to 20-year-olds for the majority in our college. So we've got some unique factors that play into that. So that's and I work in IT. I'm one of the web developers in IT, and we've obviously put this on the web. So I'm implicated, and that's my thing to do. So that's a bit about me and what I am.
All right, thanks a lot, John. Tori, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tori. I work as the manager of the Student Information and Services team at Brock Central in the Office of the Registrar for Brock University. We have implemented COM100 live chat, and we're still working towards email ticketing. So hopefully that is fully launched soon. But our goals in the next couple years would be to launch a chatbot because we do see value in that. So if anyone has a chatbot, I'd be interested to hearing your thoughts on it and feedback. And I believe you also asked for the size of the university, Tony. So we have about 19,000 students.
Wow. Thank you, Tori. We certainly have folks on this call that do have chatbots. Thank you. Paul, over to you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Wake to Wake Tip. I'm Paul Martin. I am here joining you from the territory that comes to Shkwetman within the Shkwetmakulu, which is in the heart of the interior of British Columbia. And so TRU is a university that is about, I'd say roughly about 10,000 plus students online, and about 20,000 students online, about 2,000 of which are dual enrollment. So those would be students who are taking courses on campus as well as online. So we have a considerable online presence, which is where I serve as the director of curriculum development and delivery for open learning. So in charge of creating all of the 500 plus courses that we have through open learning, and then also the 275 open learning faculty members who teach as part of open learning. So we have students all over the place, and I think that's, in every corner of the country and the globe, really. And that's really one of the things that attracted us to thinking about COM100 as a way to communicate more effectively with our students. But we also have, as Tony mentioned earlier, our future students division or department uses COM100, as well as the TRU World, which looks after international students as well. And TRU has a significant international student population. About 30% of our students are international. 10% of our students, 10 to 15% of our students are Indigenous. So we have a pretty diverse group that we're trying to serve really in many different ways. So we've just launched COM100 in the last couple of months, and we're getting ready to move forward with the chatbot and things like that. So nice to see you all, and looking forward to hearing more.
All right, thanks to Paul. Thank you for joining us. Frank, over to you.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Puccilli. I'm an educational technologist here at Capilano University. I'm relatively new to Capilano, maybe a year or so. Population, we're about 12,000 students. We have about 1,400 faculty. And so I think, like most of us that were hit with the pandemic situation, my initiative or idea to bring in a live chat to help support our faculty and our staff. So right now we have live chat running on our teaching and learning site, which is called the Center for Teaching Excellence, that services the faculty. And then we also have a student facing site called Student Digital Ambassadors. So those are students that help students. And so, so they have their own sort of channel that they support students via live chat. And so that was the thought process behind that. We haven't thought about doing the chat bot or the ticketing right now. And to be honest with you, we haven't had a huge uptake with this service. And so one of the things that we're trying to think, what is there anything we could do differently or better? So there's a couple of things. We have multiple systems at Capilano in terms of ticketing with IT. We do provide a great deal of resources through our teaching and learning site. So we're not quite sure why we're not really getting the traffic we thought we would get. And also, of course, as you know, you're in this world, it's very cyclical. Start of semester, mid-semester, end of semester, things ramp up and ramp down. So So that's our general experience. We've been on with COM 100. We've been using live chat since September of last year. So that's the sort of overall view of what's happening here at Capellanos.
All right, good to know that, Frank. And I think similar experience to yours. There's also others in the room that we want to surface these issues and try to tackle them together today, and then going forward with my team as well. So thank you for being part of this quorum as well. Liz and Jeff, over to you guys from McMaster.
Good morning, everyone. Jeff, I don't know should I start and then I'll pass it to you? Okay. So good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth DeManuel from McMaster. I'm here with Jeff. We both work at the Student Success Center. Our student population, I was trying to think of like the exact number. I think between graduate and undergraduate students, we're at about 35,000 students. I think about 20,000 of those are undergraduate, maybe 26. 26 seems more correct. And about 20% of our student population are international students as well. But more than 50% of our graduate students are international. So just a little bit about our demographic. In terms of our department size, so we've actually grown as a department. The Student Success Center, we're kind of everywhere now, from first year experience to international student services, to exchange programs, career programs, experiential learning, you name it, we're probably involved. And in terms of our model, I was really enjoying what Frank had to say, because we do take a peer-based model. So it's a little different than other areas at McMaster that have COM 100. It's very much students serving students on the chat, so we can definitely share some of our insights from that experience at some point. I'll just pass it to Jeff in case I've missed anything.
Awesome. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff, marketing communication strategist with the SSC alongside Elizabeth. I think that kind of covers it nicely. I would say that definitely international students, they're our top audience probably. And so a lot of our goals are kind of moving toward how we can better serve that audience. So yeah, excited to learn from everybody.
All right, thank you, Jeff and Liz. Over to you, Victoria from Queens.
Hi, I'm Victoria Anderson. I'm the manager of admission in undergraduate admissions and recruitment at Queen's University in Kingston. Our student population is around 20,000 undergraduate students. My team works with our applicants. We get over 50,000 applications a year. The larger undergraduate and admission and recruitment team is around 40 individuals. My team really is all about frontline service. So those inbound inquiries from our applicants. We're a team of 7 at our core. And so we are actually launching live chat on Thursday, kind of just starting small and getting our feet wet, pushed to getting system down the road a couple weeks. And goal is to eventually get chatbot, and really for us evaluating how COM 100 works, and then going to be sharing our experience with people like our registrar's office to see if it's something that we can integrate larger, really to help us pass and communicate students around, because as kind of that main inbound spot for the university, we get a lot of questions that aren't actually about admission. So is COM 100 something that could service other departments well and allow us to make it a better customer journey for those applicants?
Okay, sounds good. And kudos on the launch as well. A little bit early, kudos there, but Thursday. Thank you so much for working with our onboarding team, Victoria. And Sandy from Brock U, you're the last one to go.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Sandy Howe, and I'm new to the Reg Office team here at Brock within the last month, coming over from experiential education, and I recognize some faces from that time. I'm Tori's team member, and within my portfolio are our student one-stop, Brock Central, as well as academic advising here at Brock. So I really am listening in around chatbot, but also around innovative ways that campuses are serving students in general. I think one of our goals for this year, and I imagine it's consistent across the board, is how do students want to be served coming out of the pandemic? And so we'll be looking to gather some of that information from our students and work to match our technology and our services to meet their needs. So great to put some faces to names, everyone.
Okay, thanks so much, Sandy, and thank you again, everyone, for your intros. Diving into the discussion, so we have coupled a lot of questions here that actually came from higher ed or some of the customers that I was working with, or even you guys. So I wanted to dive deep into each of them, as we got about 40 minutes left. So I want to have more time given to this Q&A, and feel free to ask these questions to others as well on this forum, or if there's anything that you like, any other question that's not here that you like to raise on this roundtable. And I think this is a really good question to start with. Like, how did the pandemic fuel innovation and digital innovation for your university or for your institution? Because as we understand, COVID actually put a wrench in everyone's business strategy, and it really made all the universities adapt in new ways that they were not anticipating. So I think this would be a really sort of taking a look at COVID and really understand how did pandemic really fuel innovation for you guys. Why don't we start with Paul from your side, because I know, as we know, TRU has been using Common Hunter for many years, pre-COVID. And then during COVID, we saw really a lot of uptick as well. And then your office, Open Learning, coming aboard a number of months ago. Perhaps you want to share your thoughts there.
Yeah, it was certainly a crazy time, and we're still not out of it. I can speak a little bit about the university in general, but also the particulars of Open Learning. So, as I mentioned, a significant portion of a number of students online, but really one of the big challenges for us is we're a campus with 30,000 or with 30% international students. So not only in terms of just getting students here and having them be able to be on campus at a time, in some cases they were all living here while the campus was locked down and there were no in-person classes and no jobs in the community, really, a lot of things that were shut down at the time. So lots of challenges that our TRU World Division faced in terms of supporting international students and future students as well. So Future Students has been using Common 100 for a number of years. And they've got a fairly robust practice in terms of using that. For Open Learning, although I heard all the time, oh, it's great, you must have been so lucky you didn't have to switch, you didn't have to do this big pivot. But Open Learning final exams, and we have 20,000 students, as I said, a year, but they're mostly continuous entry. So you can start your course on any day of the week, any hour of the day, and you can finish in that way too. But we relied on in-person exams. So we would have big monthly in-person exam sessions at exam centers across the province, and students would write in-person exams at other exam centers, probably at some of your universities as well. So we had to pivot all of those exams for 500 courses to online exams. And needless to say, the students were really concerned and it wasn't just like you weren't working on a semester basis. It's, I need to write my exam next week and it's May the 1st. I need to write my exam, the week after. What's going to happen with my exam? So communicating to those students was huge and a huge challenge for us. And the university didn't really have a good way to reach out directly to those students in particular. So that's one of the reasons that we really wanted to think about bringing in COM 100. I can't tell you how much I wish I had that in March of 2020. But one of the things that we did in terms of innovation, really in our end, was to start creating, because not only did I have 20,000 students sending me emails directly every day, wondering what's happening with their exam, and they haven't heard back from me from their email, 6 hours ago, what's going on. But I had the same thing with our Open Learning faculty members, wondering what was happening with their courses. So we really relied on those faculty members to get messages out to students. But it would have been so much easier to have a chat bot and have even just the live chat to be able to answer questions like that. And we could have diverted some human resources to answering chats as those were coming through. So, you know, I'm not just saying I'm preparing for next time, but anyway, preparing for, you know, the bigger surges like that and thinking forward. And so that's where sort of COM 100 has come in as one of the innovations we've really been trying to implement.
All right. No, thanks a lot, Paul, for that information. And Tori, how about you on your side? Is there anything that you'd like to chime in that maybe Paul didn't touch on this piece?
For sure. It definitely drove us to find ways very quickly to support students because, as we all know, the world shut down March 2020. So that meant 19,000 students, as well as all of our faculty and staff, were no longer accessing campus physically. So we had to quickly find the resources to support students. So that, you know, included trial and error. We tried virtual appointments. We had tried 2 phone services, and we did end up sticking with one, but we ended up becoming one of the only phone lines in the university. So we can access a call center remotely to assist students, but that means that, you know, anyone on campus who has a landline, you know, we were triaging those calls. I definitely see that we would have, you know, liked to have live chat earlier. We did end up launching live chat in November of 2021. So we had already returned to campus, but it has been incredibly supportive with just helping reduce our phone lines overall. It's just another way to assist students, especially internationally, or for instance, students who may not have courses on campus, so they're strictly online. And it's great that we can assist more than one student at a time in comparison to phones, which would just be one caller, you know, at a time. So it's definitely helped a lot. And again, that's just why we continue to look for another way to innovate our team. And the next step would be hopefully a chatbot to assist students when, you know, we may not be working during our normal business hours, so we can still be of assistance to students offline.
Absolutely, that's generally the growth path with other universities as well, as most of the universities, they actually start with obviously live chat, and then once the content is there, like their pre-built canned messages or their own FAQs, their own content repository that we have, we use that actually to build the bot, and that also at that point the students are also a little bit more familiarized how to interact, how to use live chat as well. Again, thank you, Tori and Paul, for your feedback. Does anyone else like to chime in before we move on to the next question?
Yeah, I think if I could jump in, one thing for us is I think it kind of forced us to across the board kind of shift priorities and kind of really recognize that, you know, especially for this audience, the community building also happens in digital environments. And so while, of course, March 2020, we were thinking about how do we pump out this information, make sure the students know what's happening, but then recognizing that, you know, we're not bumping into people on campus, that word of mouth piece was kind of lost. So COM 100 for us was really a way to kind of bring that back. And our model, it transitioned into bringing the students, helping students. So that was kind of one of those ways that we tried to address that. So yeah, definitely that was kind of more of our innovation perspective. Elizabeth, I don't know if you had anything to add to that.
I'd say that you've captured it. In terms of like when we started that, so we've had 3 different iterations of the peer model. So we had our November 2020 launch with a team of 4 students, but they were doing this off the side of their desks. So they had other tasks and they didn't actually report into our team. They reported into a different team. So that model didn't work. We transitioned to a full-time student staff on the chat during our summer months, but it was so busy that we needed to bring on more staff to support that student staff. And now we're in our most successful model, which is a team of 6 students. And they've kind of got their shifts and they work a hybrid schedule. So some of their shifts are in our front desk area now that we're back in person, and some of them are online. And it's been a really great experience. And I think just having live chat has allowed us to explore hybrid models for student staff. And that's something that I don't think we ever really would have done without a live chat. So I think that's the only thing I would add to that. But you're right, the community piece was key for us.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. And we have had a lot of discussions about pandemic, and we've already talked about how did you guys adapt and such. So I'm gonna skip over this question. I think we have about half an hour left, and I'm gonna get into perhaps the next question is presently and going forward, what is your student recruitment or engagement strategy? As we understand, we're talking a lot about live chat and chatbots, but as the world is sort of going back to the norm here, pre-COVID, but how does that change? So you have a lot of folks or a lot of students that are going to be on the campus right now. So what changes are you making? And Liz, you talked about staffing on your side. But what other changes McMaster is making over there? Perhaps a better sort of presence on social media, a better sort of COVID protocol, proactively notifying the students that it is indeed safe to be on campus. But what is your strategy that others can learn from you guys?
I'm happy to kind of just sort of start it off. So just for as a reminder, we are the Student Success Centers. So our strategy, it's less on the recruitment side, and it very much is retention and that student success piece. So just key differentiator, and our strategy may be different than some of you who are really on the recruitment side. I would say that our digital strategy, really at the center of it, is our website. So our website is our digital home. It's where we house all of the most important information. And if I had a board that I could draw it's we have all of our digital platforms on one side, and those platforms feed into the website. And from the website, it sparks different actions. And so COM 100, it really does play a really key role in sparking actions, because it's those conversations, it's those peer-to-peer moments. We don't secret shopper our students that are working on the chat. We allow those, conversations to be authentic and real conversations from one peer to another. Though obviously we do have really strong training of those students, but we really try to honor what would happen in the physical space, also online. And then I guess just in terms of a strategy moving forward, one thing that Jeff and I have both really observed with our student team is that because they have all this rich customer service experience, they have become a real asset in terms of promotional campaigns. So they've kind of informally been coined our promotional team. So when students were coming in person on campus full time, we did this warm winter wishes campaign where we were giving away all kinds of free stuff. But we actually had the students be the ones running across campus, giving out the free things, because we knew indirectly they'd also be promoting our services, getting some good intel into how we can maybe serve those students better, etc. So just one example, but definitely we're seeing how that can feed into sort of the in-person interactions and engagement for sure.
Okay, thanks, Liz. And John, love to get your input here as well, because I know we worked with you as well on a couple of different events. As such, perhaps you want to share some of the best practices that Dawson College applies for recruitment and engagement.
Sure, absolutely. That's actually one of the more interesting tales that I have, whereby pre-pandemic, we've had basically 2 major events. One is, they're both open houses, if you will. One in the October middle to end of October, and then again middle to end of February to match along with our admission deadlines. Therefore, we would invite the community. In October, we would see roughly 11,000 people on our campus on one day within the span of 5 hours. So that's a lot of foot traffic in the building, and obviously post-pandemic we can't do that anymore. There's no way. Even if it weren't in a pandemic, I think our administration would probably try to reel that in, because obviously the building can only support a certain amount of people, and we were definitely way over. All that to say, so basically open house is coming up again in October. What did we do? We created online videos. Every single one of our programs and departments did a 2 to 3 minute, essentially answering the FAQs of all the students that they would ever know. We put that online for every single department, every single program. We had Com 100 be the front face for 1 week. At night, during the day, different times. We had our faculty, over 200 faculty members, log into the system and answer the prospective student questions. So we had a mass amount of faculty in every single department do it. And then on top of that, we had the one-day event, which then garnered a whole slew of traffic to our website, and by virtue Com 100. And we did see a lot of engagement. We saw a lot of good conversations. We saw a few conversations that were also a very deep conversation, whereby it was a prospective student from some country out in who knows where, and that for us is not normal, because our main clientele, if you will, is the local community coming in from high school. So therefore, we're in a good situation that we don't have to do recruitment like other institutions out there. This is just the structure of how things are, because they have to come through us to get to university. So at that point, it's a funnel going through the system. So therefore, we don't have to rely on international recruitment. But nonetheless, we did have some international audiences, and there were some very interesting conversations, very long conversations, and that would never have worked with an on-campus event. And then now going forward, because of the fact that things are loosening, things are also, everything's unsure because of the fact that, ups and downs of COVID. What we're doing is we're basically doing a one-night event on Com 100 on our website. We have the videos, they answer the questions. We've added in a webinar that people can join from our missions team. And then again, once again, answering those FAQs. And also we have in-person guided tours, but those are limited registration. So therefore people have to sign up these tours. And I assure you the registrations go fast. It's almost like selling tickets to a singer's event at the local arena. So essentially right now what we do is Com 100 with the faculty. We do videos online, we do a webinar, and on top of that, we're doing guided tours when applicable due to COVID.
Well, thanks a lot. I mean, that's certainly some of the unique strategies that we also here at Com 100 have heard and seen applied in higher education. Before we move on, is there anyone else that has questions perhaps for John? Or Liz or Jeff, or anything else they would like to chime in on that could be helpful to others? All right. I do want to dive into chatbots, because this is a really hot topic, and this is, you heard from Victoria, you heard from others on this call as well, that they're starting with live chat. They want to get their feet wet with chatbots next stage. And there's always some concerns in terms of adopting AI or chatbots, perhaps on your side in terms of building, maintaining, and perhaps obviously on the student side as well. How will they interact? How will they perceive chatbot? What would the student journey, student experience look like? And I wanted to learn probably Paul from your side, because TRU does have multiple bots for multiple offices, and there are more mature bots as well for many years. If you want to share your sort of feedback, perhaps from internal teams as you guys are working and building the bots, is how are the bots supporting the university, and how do you keep the bots updated, and how much staff is required, how many hours or how many days, etc., that you guys spent building and maintaining the bot? I think this is a really hot topic. This is something that we would definitely want to touch on.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm the best person to answer that, Tony, but certainly Lachlan has been working with this for a few years and has I think a fairly a good understanding of the bot, but I can't speak to it in terms of how we're thinking about implementing chatbots within our teams within open learning. And I mentioned we've got 20,000 plus online students, but it's really run through our team on the floor here that covers not only pretty much all student support for those 20,000 students and all of the development and delivery of those online courses. So everything from hiring faculty members to doing that. There's a team of about 60 people in total here on the floor. So, and all of them had sort of different, each team had different emails and stuff like that. And I was, thinking too, I can't remember if it was Liz or someone else was talking about how, being the only phone line where sometimes people would get through. And for especially during the pandemic, our phone was the only one where people were actually answering the phone. So we were actually fielding queries from all corners of the university sometimes and trying our best to answer them. So we've been pretty actively getting each of our teams together to really come up with an exhaustive list of questions that students might answer. And one of our team members that was fortunate, had a past history in sort of working in call centers and creating, resources like that, so that people would have, certainly scripts and stuff to answer. And I think for all of us too, the other thing that I see is that the opportunity to work on thinking about how would the chatbot answer these questions allows us to also think through how can we make sure those questions are being answered consistently through all the other channels by people on our teams, right? And often those teams are working in sort of isolation from one another. Even members on the same team aren't really necessarily sharing emails or anything like that. So moving to a ticketing system, which is one of our our goals really quickly, through Com100, and also thinking about that chatbot, it's not only about how are those questions going to be answered outside of business hours, and it can, we have students who are taking their final exams at 2 in the morning because that's the time that they like to take them. We have students really going 24 hours a day. So we have queries from students coming in at 3 in the morning because they're in the middle of a final exam and something's gone wrong, right? So we really need to think through all that. So our teams are, really getting together pretty regularly, assembling those lists of questions and answers. And all of those are about ready to come to me for sort of a final sign off and review to make sure that we're answering things in the way that we really want to. So that's, like I said, I think there's other people here who are much further along that path. But that's how we're sort of operating. And we do have, as you said, different areas on campus that are also have been using Com100 independently. And we're trying to align our use of it and to, I think, sort of merge those accounts a little bit so that we can more readily pass queries on from, for example, the Future Students Office to our team in open learning and things like that. So yeah, that's sort of, happy to answer more questions if you have any.
Yeah, no, just one piece I'd love to understand, Paul, is it looks like that having a student voice in your open learning over there, how you're building the bot or other policies is really, really important. And that's one of the questions that I had up here as well. How important is student voice? But love to understand, how are you collecting students' input? Are you guys doing surveys? Is it mostly emails? Is it in person as well? But how are you gathering information from students?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think I just was answering a question, making a comment to Liz in the chat too. I think that really involving students more is key to us. And I think, we'll be, as soon as we have some of those questions and stuff ready to go and a bit of a knowledge base, I think that's one of the next steps really for us, is to reach out to our students. And our students are spread, all over the world. So, the ways in which we might answer questions or things that might make sense to our students here, our local students, might not make as much sense to students in other places. So getting that sort of broad range of feedback, I think, is going to be really important for us too.
Okay. Liz or Jeff, if you guys want to chime in, I know you're part of the strategy meeting, monthly meeting with Sue and the other managers, and chatbot is definitely one of the topics that come up there, and university have multiple chatbots there as well, McMaster. But what are your sort of thoughts here for the quorum?
Liz, Elizabeth, do you want me to start on that? Yeah, okay, cool. Well, it's interesting because we do have a lot of chatbots with the different offices at Mac, but our office, we don't have a chatbot currently, and kind of as Elizabeth mentioned, our approach is a little bit different in that, it's more of the student experience conversations. It's not always just a quick answer, unless we're sort of triaging as that happens. But to give an example, like we started using, say, the canned messages at the beginning, but then we found that just the way that we're operating our live chat, they didn't really work. It was better to have just the students be informed and be able to kind of talk conversationally about them. So yeah, we can't really comment too much on the chatbot on our end.
I think the only thing I would add, Jeff, is that we do know that the registrar's office has really found value in it. So just because they're not here, I'd say that, they were getting anywhere between 300 to 500 inquiries in a day, which is, significant. And I think that's where the chatbot has really had a lot of value. One learning, though, that I would say, and they would say this too, is that students still seem to really want a person. And so that's kind of the big challenge, is, volume versus wanting a person. And so, the chatbot can only do so much. So it gets smarter, but it can only do so much. So kind of figuring out a strategy around that is sort of the big mystery. And hopefully, I think, with time, we'll have a better plan around all of that. I think our friends in the RO, they're really leading the way at McMaster. And so we have a lot to learn from them still. But yeah, I would say it's definitely helped with their volume.
Yeah, no, definitely having bots really tackle those, the low value intents, and having, the agents focus on the high value one with a proper strategic approach is definitely where you see a lot of quick value from the chatbot as well. And I think that's a good question maybe for Victoria, for you, and Frank as well, is what are some of the barriers to students, and how are you addressing them? Obviously, you're new to Common 100, so I guess that would be one of the channels. But what are some of the other barriers to students, and any other feedback that you have for the folks here?
Sure. I think we're hoping COM 100 solves some of our challenges. Volume is definitely one of our biggest issues. About a month, 2 months ago, we were taking 10 business days to respond to emails. We were getting over 1,000 emails a week from applicants, and my team also processes documents. So it was taking us upwards of a month to get through those as well. And so with that, we know that students are reaching out to us multiple times, often with the same question. And so I think there's a lot of value for us in the ticketing element to help manage our inbound emails and also with chat to hopefully reduce the overall volume that's coming inbound, and also to deviate some of those emails and also phone calls, because we could be getting upwards of 100 phone calls a day. We're hoping that chat will kind of help bring down both email and phone and allow us to more quickly answer kind of the easy questions that students are having, especially chatbot coming on board, hopefully down the line, to take kind of those low volume or low value interactions you were mentioning.
Okay. And Frank, at Capilano, love to get your feedback as well. What are some of the barriers that the students are facing over there, other than what Victoria has shared? I think you're still on mute, Frank, so if you can hear us. There we go.
Sorry, I had a bit of a glitch there. Sorry, I missed the last bit. If you were asking, Tony, were you asking me a question directly, or?
Yeah, no, we just wanted to understand maybe from Capilano experience, some of the barriers for students.
Well, it's been interesting listening to everyone. I think, you know, we're using the COM100 specifically for tech support. And like I said, we're not getting very high volumes of chats, maybe just 1 or 2 a day. So I think what I'm going to take back to my gang is that, you know, if they were going to continue with live chat, they should probably look at student success, student registration, student recruitment. And we are having difficulty with recruitment. Our numbers are down for whatever reason. I don't know if that's something across the board, people, or there's just, you know, there's so many choices for students to pick. You know, and Capilano does have a sort of specific niche in higher education, because we deal with the film and television industry, and we have a lot of courses that are related to that, and programs for folks that want to work in that industry. And there's a lot of competition with private institutions and so forth. So like I said, we're using the live chat right now just for technical support, but it's not really, we're not getting the high volumes like I'm hearing from other people. And so I think, based on, you know, my experience and my thinking, is that that's probably where it would probably best, it might be better used in those student areas, as opposed to what we're doing with technical support. Because like I say, we have email, we have ticketing systems. So yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting situation that we're in. So I think we're going to have to refocus and rethink how we're using our live chat at Capilano. And like I said, it's not the institution that's using it, it's just the Center for Teaching and Learning that's using it in the context that I mentioned. So, it might be interesting to see what other departments, but like I said, based on what I'm hearing, it's probably better used for students as opposed to maybe faculty support.
100%, and I think it really depends on the university and the engagement as well, the strategy. So
yeah,
if Capilano is already having you know, those challenges today, those are some of the barriers, then a digital channel like someone like live chat would definitely help remediate those. So I'll circle back with you, with my team, Frank, afterwards as well.
Yeah,
I'd love to have deeper conversations, and I can obviously be on site with you and Tony as well, if that's okay with you guys. There's a really 1 or 2 important questions I want to get into with you guys. Is the first one is perhaps for you, Sandy, and that Brock, you, is what questions the institutions or universities, colleges should be asking, but they are not. You know, we're past, I guess we're still getting past the COVID phase right now, but some of the questions, examples that I have on the screen here is what does post-COVID look like? Is it going to be challenging as COVID for the universities? And how do you really stand out? How do you differentiate as an institution? As Frank said, they're having some issues at Capilano with recruitment for students because they're also a niche university as well, working in film industry, etc. But I think these are some of the really good questions to ask as well. But what are your thoughts, Sandy?
I'm happy to speak to this, but only in a space where, my head is still a happy tornado transitioning into a registrar's office from outside. And I think, what does post-COVID look like? We've just received an announcement in Ontario that colleges can now offer 3-year degrees. And so we're seeing a very different face to the recruitment process and why students would choose a college versus a university. We're on the exact same street as the college in the Niagara region. And so I think competition and synergy across colleges and universities will look different. We're looking to ask students how they would like to be served. We're still staffing an in-person kind of one-stop drop-in, but we're not seeing nearly the physical in-person traffic that we used to. And so we're just currently drafting a survey actually out to students about what works best, what hours of operation they would be looking for. Do they pay attention to our auto responses on our email account, where we try to be proactive with information that is simply kind of informative so that we can have more holistic conversations in person? And what makes us look different? I think it's really meeting students where they're at and hearing their voices. And I'm not the first one on this call to say that by any means, but how do we really get students engaged in that process? We're doing the same thing in terms of what does convocation look like, post-pandemic, and really seeking the input of our students. So maybe I'll just kind of crack this set of questions open with that. I think at this point we have way more questions than answers about what a post-COVID world looks like.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great starting point. And Tori, would you like to chime in with Sandy and what would you say?
Honestly, I don't have anything to add. Sandy took the words right out of my mouth and, really formulated a really great response that ties into all of the things that I was going to say. But I see that John has his hand up, so I'll maybe pass it over there.
So basically, again, keep putting this in context. Our students are 16 to 20, and in those formative years, we were seeing actually a lot of students that have mental health issues, or that have stressful homes, stressful lives, in terms of how they're learning online, and they don't want to learn online. In fact, they want to be in the classroom. They want to be in the building. So our advisors, our staff are seeing that they'd rather have in-person conversation than online conversation. The academic advisors who are on our COM 100 chat day in, day out, they see that there's a lot of COM 100, and the chat platform is actually very good for the easy questions, the low value conversations, not an issue. But then it quickly spirals out into a crisis situation, which then needs to be handled either over the phone or over a Zoom call, because at that point it's gotten way out of hand for a simple chat text back and forth. So this is unfortunately what we're seeing in our post-COVID situation, where basically our students need help.
Okay. And Liz, love to get your feedback. I think McMaster is such a large university, but what are some of the during the internal meetings over there? Some of the questions that came up that you think would be really helpful for the students going forward.
Yeah, I found myself just nodding a ton to what John was saying. So I have to say we completely agree. So one thing that our area we're really focused on is, how do we level up our training? So really taking an EDIA, so equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility approach to training those on the chat. And I would say part of the accessibility piece is also around not just the mental health of our customer, but also mental health around those that are working the chat. So this idea that, you know, if it's a student who's on the chat, like your job is not to fix the problem, right? If something comes up where it impacts maybe your mental health that day, it is okay to ask one of us to step in instead. So actually giving permission, you know, to bring supervisors in and to sort of not feel that you have to fix problems every time somebody comes to the chat. So that's kind of one big theme. And then I would just say the other one is around finding that healthy balance between automated service and live service. That's not something our team deals with. We're completely live in terms of our chat, but I know other teams, they're really trying to figure out how to best optimize the live bot, sorry, the bot features and some of those other features that are coming through with the new upgrades.
All right, awesome. We are up against the clock, so I do want to thank everyone for their time this morning, and I hope you found this really, really beneficial, and we can do more of those going forward. Again, there was a lot of stakeholders on this call from different universities. Some of you guys share the same experiences, same challenges. And I think it would be really helpful that if you guys do want to have one-on-one conversation with yourself, I can definitely help facilitate those as well. Please let me know if you do want to talk to each other and you know, learn more about these going forward. Other than that, I do want to again really, really thank you for your feedback, for your time. I know how busy you guys are over there at the universities, especially as everything is getting ramped up. And I wish you a good afternoon. And I'll again follow up tomorrow with the recording of this and some other collateral as well. So thanks again, folks. It was a pleasure having you guys on the roundtable, and hope we can do more of these going forward. Thank you.